Good evening, everyone. This is attorney Robyn McCoy. It's February 1st, 2022. It's the beginning of Black History Month. So Black History Month is an annual observance originating in the United States, where it's also known as African American History Month. It has received official recognition from governments in the United States and Canada, and more recently has been observed in Ireland and the United Kingdom. It began as a way of remembering important people and events in the history of the African diaspora. It is celebrated in February in the United States and Canada, while in Ireland and the United Kingdom, it is observed in October. Negro History Week, 1926, this is the history. So the precursor to Black History Month was created in 1926 in the United States when historian Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History announced the second week of February to be Negro History Week. This week was chosen because it coincided with the birth of Abraham Lincoln on February 12th and that of Frederick Douglass on February 14th, both of which dates Black communities had celebrated together since the late 19th century. Negro History Week was the center of the equation. The thought process behind the week was never recorded, but scholars acknowledge two reasons for its birth: recognition and importance. Woodson felt deeply that at least 1 week would allow for the general movement to become something annually celebrated. After the 10-year-long effort to successfully complete his Journal of Negro History, he realized the subject deserved to resonate with a greater audience. From the event's initial phase, primary emphasis was placed on encouraging the coordinated teaching of the history of Black Americans in the nation's public schools. The first Negro History Week was met with a lukewarm response, gaining the cooperation of the Departments of Education of the states of North Carolina, Delaware, and West Virginia, as well as the city administrations of Baltimore and Washington, D.C. Despite this far from universal observance, the event was regarded by Woodson as one of the most fortunate steps ever taken by the association, and plans for a repeat of the event on an annual basis continue to pace. At the time of Negro History Week's launch, Woodson contended that the teaching of Black history was essential to ensure the physical and intellectual survival of the race within broader society. If a race has no history, it has no worthwhile tradition. It becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated. The American Indian left no continuous record. He did not appreciate the value of tradition, and where is he today? The Hebrew keenly appreciated the value of tradition as attested by the Bible itself. In spite of the worldwide persecution, therefore, he is a great factor in our civilization. I will just add to this. I know this is what Carter G. Woodson said, but I would say that the American Indian, that there was preservation of his tradition through oral tradition. So I would just disagree with that. By 1929, the Journal of Negro History was able to note that with only 2 exceptions, officials with the State Departments of Education of every state with considerable Negro population had made the event known to the state's teachers and distributed official literature associated with the event. Churches also played a significant role in the distribution of literature in association with Negro History Week during this initial interval, with the mainstream and Black press aiding in the publicity effort. Throughout the 1930s, Negro History Week countered the growing myth of the South's lost cause, as epitomized in both the novel and film Gone with the Wind. That myth argued that slaves had been well treated, that the Civil War was a war of Northern aggression, and that Blacks had been better off under slavery. When you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions, Woodson wrote in his book, The Miseducation of the American Negro. You do not have to tell him not to stand here or go yonder. He will find his proper place and will stay in it. Negro history grew in popularity throughout the following decades, with mayors across the United States endorsing it as a holiday. United States Black History Month, 1970. Black History Month was proposed by Black educators and the Black United students at Kent State University in February 1969. The first celebration of Black History Month took place at Kent State a year later from January 2nd to February 28th, 1970. 6 years later, Black History Month was being celebrated all across the country in educational institutions, centers of Black culture, and community centers, both great and small, when President Gerald Ford recognized Black History Month in 1976 during the celebration of the United States bicentennial. He urged Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every endeavor throughout our history. In the Black community, Black History Month was met with enthusiastic response. It prompted the creation of Black History clubs, an increase in interest among teachers, and interest from progressive whites. On February 21st, 2016, 106-year Washington, D.C. resident and school volunteer Virginia McLaren visited the White House as part of Black History Month. When asked by President Barack Obama why she was there, McLaren said, "A Black president, a Black wife, and I'm here to celebrate Black history. That's what I'm here for." So that's my discussion of Black history. My source for that is Black History Month Wikipedia. I would also just talk about my own background as it relates to Black History Month. I grew up in a home with parents that were very socially conscious. They wanted to make sure that we were aware of our culture and history. My first 17 years, I grew up in Ypsilanti, Michigan, so I had my early education in the public school system. And then eventually I transitioned over to Catholic school, and my parents made sure to supplement my education with Black history, with Afrocentricity. So we took classes on Black history and Afrocentricity, and we also took African dance. We wore Afrocentric attire. What I'm wearing on my head is called a gaily, and it's actually a lady that was Nigerian that showed my mom how to wrap her head when she was in high school. And then it's a tradition that I took on. I've just known how to do it ever since I was a little girl. And coincidentally enough, when we did the Ancestry DNA, we found out that we had a significant amount of African history, or African ancestry, as well as European ancestry. We are told that we have some Native American ancestry through oral tradition, and plus we have a relative that lived on the reservation, so we're still waiting to verify that information. But I just think that knowledge is power, and that it's important that you know about your culture. I think my background is cultural anthropology. I think that everybody should know about their culture. I just think that it's important. I think that it's important that everybody have values. And interesting enough, a lot of my European ancestry bore out as Scottish, and McCoy is a Scotch-Irish name. And I would love, I've been to Europe, I've been to France, I've been to South Africa, I've been to Zimbabwe, and India, and Senegal. I would love to go to Scotland and find out more about my ancestry in Scotland, as well as going to Nigeria and finding out more about my Nigerian ancestry. I think that, we have all these discussions, kind of like identity politics, but what I would like to see is for everybody to take Ancestry DNA, because I think once they did that, they would find out that we have more in common than, we're all brothers and sisters in the world, and we're all human. So I hope everybody has a blessed day, and please like and share this video.